Wow. Hmm. Um, for some reason, it's not going live on Facebook, and I am not sure why. So I'm going to ask that, I mean, it's got a big exclamation point. It said something's happened to the Facebook Blue Light Movement page. So I'm going to ask that somebody post the a message on the Blue Light Movement page to let them know. And if somebody can post them the link to this on my YouTube channel, Intuitive Mind with Nancy Rebecca. Not quite sure if you can post them the live link, but if anybody's really skilled at that, I would so appreciate it. So, wow. I can't do anything about it unless I completely close this down. So if someone can do that, that will be great. Oh my God, there's so much to share today. I'm not surprised that this is happening. So let me just pop in to say first and foremost that in this particular video, you're going to learn more about the effects of the blue light on your own nervous system. So in November of 2023, this is this year, it's just a few months away, we are definitely going to experience probably one of the biggest blue light surges that we have experienced over the last several years in 2019, 2021, which were big enough in themselves, but also in the 2023 is going to be enormous. So again, I'm just going to pop in because it's hard for me to give a talk as I'm realizing that it got blocked on Facebook. So could someone just let me know if you are able to post on the Blue Light Facebook page and that you can post the link to YouTube? I would appreciate it. It'll help me calm my human nerves. So good morning, Rebecca and Kathleen and Phyllis and Jennifer. Hi, Kim and Jill, Javante, Jackie, and Zubi. One sec, Javante's saying they're on it, so I really appreciate it. So again, something's happened on the Facebook link, but I am definitely here live on the YouTube link. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So what I was going to talk about, I might switch around. I was going to start with a story first, an experience that I had that will be very significant about this blue light movement talk today. But I'm going to hold that till a little bit later. So just talking about the, in November of 2023, this particular movement, I was told that this would happen in 2023 at the pyramids in the United States. And at that time I said, you know, we don't have pyramids in the United States. And that's when the blue beings of light, the star beings, mainly from the Orion's belt, the constellation of Orion with the planet Sirius, that they came through and said, what has been hidden will be revealed. That's all they would tell me when I would try to inquire. And that's the way that it has been for me since 2017. I am given the information on a need to know basis, not on my need to know, but my sense is what I'm ready to know, if I can put it that way. And it's the same for all of you. You're constantly being downloaded with this high level of knowledge, especially from the galactic core right now, that kind of silent still point. And so you will be given the knowledge as you are ready to take that knowledge in. I'm going to describe to you in my story what it's like to take in this high level of knowledge when your physical body may not quite be ready for it. So I have a personal experience to share around that. Thank you so much, Kathleen Dowd, for letting people know on Facebook. So your brain, your spinal column, your nerves, neurons, cranial nerves are never at rest. They are constantly firing. They are constantly bringing in information. But it's like if you choose to eat an apple, you're going to look at that apple sitting there in the fruit bowl. You're going to say, "Oh, I'd like an apple," and that sends that message to the brain. Then the brain sends the message to your arm, right or left hand, to reach over to pick up that apple. And then it's like, wow, I can't wait to take a big juicy bite out of this apple. It sends another message to your sensory system, your nervous system, to now take that apple to your mouth and to take a bite. So here we are in our human kind of evolutionary knowledge of just knowing ourselves from that human perspective. That's what we think the nerves do. They help our heart to beat, they help our lungs to breathe. Right now, as I'm talking with my hands, it helps me bring the language through to my arms. I'm a very kind of hand expressive communicator. All that's done by the nervous system. But in this particular talk, we're moving to another level of communication where you are constantly influenced by the elements around you, by other people's energy. Now, I was really thinking about this because I've been doing readings of the human energy field for almost 30 years now. And the largest thing that I think really comes through from the spiritual realm communicating to you when you're having a reading from an intuitive psychic, all my students, graduate students, are highly trained to do this. But it's really surprising to most people that they can have somebody else's energy influencing their energy field. Our strongest influencers of our energy field are our mothers and our fathers. And in the spirit world, it doesn't really matter if you really loved and adored your parents and had the best parents in the world, or you had the worst parents in the world. You're still influenced energetically by their frequency and their energy. And then if you're married, you're influenced. If you have kids, you're influenced. At work, you're influenced. So much more than you will ever realize. And so that's why when I'm teaching my courses, that's really what we're doing. We're running the energy through the energy field to start dissolving other people's energy. And you feel really good. Why? Because you start to feel like yourself. It's like taking 50 wet wool blankets off of your aura, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I feel lighter and I feel freer. So you're also influenced by the star beings. You're influenced by the planets. You're influenced by the whales and the dolphins. And if you really want to take it to that next level of mystical, magical beings, of unicorns or mermaids, yep, you're influenced by those things as well. Thank you so much for anyone who got the message over there. I do see a lot of people are starting to come over to YouTube. And I will definitely share this YouTube video on the Blue Light page later for those who just couldn't find it. So your nervous system is designed to handle a large variety of frequencies easily. A large variety. So your nervous system can feel when an earthquake has happened on the other side of the world. Your frequency can tell kind of hours beforehand that something is about ready to shift. And yet you think it's because your teenage daughter didn't unload the dishwasher that you're feeling irritated and annoyed. But in actuality, you're feeling an earthquake on the other side of the world. So our systems, our nervous system is very, very sensitive to all of those things. Now, for some of you, you're new, you're going to be watching this replay. You don't have any idea what the blue light movement is. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I will share with you, if you go to my website, intuitivemind.org, if you click on the blog button on the top banner, and then it'll come up blue light movement, then you click on that. There's a lot of blog posts there that will describe that whole journey from 2017, where the blue star beings of light came in. I have recorded a lot of videos, so even here on the YouTube page, you can also go and look under the tab Blue Light Movement, and you will find those videos there, so you can get all caught up. But know that if you're here, that you are influenced by the star beings to be here, because your spirit wants you to hear this information. So you just trust that. Thank you, Evante, also for posting the link on the Blue Light Movement page. And thank you, Yvonne, for letting me know. I appreciate it. So what's been really, I would say, on my mind, I would say it's kind of front and center in my consciousness, is the limitations that I have at the human level. It's really in my face. Now, I'm just going to say, like a high level psychic clairvoyant for almost 30 years. I had a spontaneous out of body experience. I have been witness to things that are considered impossible things. As a matter of fact, I've been witness to impossible events that I have forgotten. And this morning, the blue star beings of light reminded me of a particular incident that I had. And they're like, this is what we can expect to happen after we have this third big surge in 2023 in Hopi Land in Arizona of the three mesas. So I'm going to share that story with you, but I will let you know that when I had the vision of the prophecy, they only talked about 219, 221, and 223. I have no information past this, although I can feel in 2025 something, we're being prepared for something in 2025. It's that need to know, on a need to know basis, right? And apparently they don't think I need to know right now. But I will want to tell you that we are doing a big event in November. I am currently doing the write-up on that. Hope to have it published sometime in July so that you can start signing up for that event. So FYI. So why is this in my face? Well, for a lot of you, you may or may not know, I am a huge Skinwalker Ranch fan. And I wasn't a fan of Ancient Aliens, Skinwalker Ranch, Blind Frog Mystery, whatever. I wasn't, it wasn't that I wasn't a fan, it just wasn't on my radar, and I had a lot, that I could focus on. It was when I was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer. I had surgery. I was going through chemotherapy, and I was just trying to find some things to keep my mind occupied with something interesting. I love to learn. I love new knowledge. I love awareness from the spiritual world for them to illuminate what I need to learn. So I came across Ancient Aliens. I was curious. You guys are going to laugh, for those of you who've known this for a long time, but when I clicked on it, to my surprise, there were 18 seasons. And I'm like, where have I been for 18 years that I never knew this existed? So in my recovery process, I watched all 18 seasons, probably don't remember half of it, which led me to Skinwalker Ranch. Now, here's my story. I've kind of circled it on my paper. So I found, and I was just talking to Yvonne and several people about this. So I find myself limited when it comes up to being shown truth about unidentified aerial phenomena, which used to be known as UFOs. On the upcoming Skinwalker Ranch show, which has not aired yet, but they've shown the little preview, you have Dr. Travis Taylor, who probably has like 10 doctorates in astrophysicist or something like that. Just say He's super, super, super smart. Was put on the show to be an antagonist, to be the skeptic, to force them to align with science only. All right, so in this preview, he's looking at the sky, and there's this monitor, and he's yelling in the microphone, "Oh my goodness, I'm seeing an object flying through the air at 3,500 miles an hour." But he goes, "But what you're not going to believe is it just came out of the mesa." So he literally, this hardcore scientist, literally saw this UFO, UAP come completely up out of the earth. I mean, it didn't break rocks or anything. It just comes through and transitions through the earthly layers and shoots off into the sky. Now, I'm seeing this. I trust this guy, but everything about my body is like, well, that's weird. You can't go there. Like, what are they saying? Like, my whole body had an arsenal of reasons why I shouldn't believe this. So I share this story with you because when I'm talking about the blue light movement, similar things can happen. It's a protective mechanism. I found myself nervously laughing. And then I realized when I talk to other people about it, even people in my family, and they nervously laugh, it's because their protective mechanisms are getting triggered. Or when any of us are faced with new things that we've always been taught are not possible, we get that nervousness about us that wants to shut everything down. Now, I do believe in some ways this is a good thing because it blocks us from drinking the Kool-Aid, meaning it slows us down from just believing all this without kind of a process so that your physical body can integrate. So let's get back to the blue light movement. So when these blue light beings came in, I can see them. I know that they're there. I know that I'm having experiences. I had a prophetic vision that knocked me backwards on the ground, and my friend behind me got knocked over when we were in China. We have all those real experiences, but the doubt within me was higher than my experiences. So it was filtering my capacity to take in a large amount of information. Okay, so let me talk about my story now because we've got about 31 of you here. So Yvonne and I don't even know when it was, let's say 2005, I think. So Yvonne and I had met Leon Secatero, and Yvonne, if you can spell his name and put it in the comment section, that would be great. He was the spiritual elder. He has since passed. The spiritual elder for the Canoncito band of Native Indigenous Americans, and we met him in India. And Yvonne and I were in India, and we met him. We kind of hung out with all our meals because he was English speaking, we were English speaking, and he shared that he was there because he's on the council with the Mayan visionaries, and that they asked him to represent the Mayans to talk about the Mayan prophecy. Like, how in the heck do Yvonne and I end up in these places? Mind blowing, a whole other story, but we ended up hanging out, and he ends up telling us he's from New Mexico, and he invites us to come to their sacred ceremony that they would be having in the fall. We did come back to the United States. The next time we did come to their sacred ceremony. We made the drive. So this wasn't that first time, but this was the second time Yvonne and I went. So on this particular trip, there's 100 of tribal members, and then there's Yvonne and I. And we were the first white people that had been invited at that time to go with the tribe. I'm going to try to make this incredible, incredible story, succinct and just in this particular order. And I want you to hear this because this is what the blue light beings told me that some of us might experience after this next blue light surge through the three mesas in Arizona in November. So we were packed up and we had to drive a couple of hours to get to this ancient land. Now, the property is owned by a lot of ranchers and there's a lot of fences. And so they have to get permission from the ranchers for their tribes to go back to their original lands. This one particular land that we were gifted to go with them on, they had been in the courts for 10 years, battling in the courts with their right to go to this particular sacred mesa. It was called Shaman Mountain. Now, we got there to find out that they finally got approval from the New Mexico government for a short window of time where they could go on to their own sacred mountain. So everybody just take a deep breath. It's sad. I mean, it's just sad, but anyway, it happened, and Yvonne and I happened to be there. Now, they're preparing for the first time. There was a 96-year-old couple of Canancito, a husband and wife, that had never been able to visit that land, ever in their entire lifetime, but they had heard about it from the elders. So this was a big deal. There were going to be 100 of us making this walk, and it was 8 miles in the walk and 8 miles back out again. So there was a lot of preparation for days. We were camping out on the land. We all get up early, and the message is we all make it or no one makes it. So that means that there were little children that were having to be carried, and that means that there were elders in their 90s that would be assisted up this mountain. And so Yvonne and I were walking with them. So we walk the 8 miles. Once we're at the base of the mountain, it's getting quieter and quieter because it's quite sacred. There are the warriors that are lined up the mountain, probably about 8 warriors, and they had a rope. And this, what's called Shaman's Mountain, has the shale rock. So if you're familiar with shale, when you're walking on it, it can kind of slip under your feet. So I had a dream the night before about a particular white flower. So I went up to Leon Secatero and I said, I had this vivid dream about this white flower. He explains it's a very sacred flower. Only the shamans are allowed to harvest this particular flower, but he was going to give me permission to harvest it. Now, there were a lot of people within the group that when one of the warriors was harvesting it for me, they got very upset because the rule is only shamans are allowed to have this particular plant. And so here I was, this white woman that's not part of the tribe, and a lot of them didn't want Yvonne and I there, but most of them were very welcoming. They went and harvested the flower for me, and I put it in my backpack. I found out later why I had the dream and why I needed it. So the reason why I mention that is because we have human rules. I'm writing this down. Human rules. And we have spiritual rules. So in the human rules on the tribe, it's for tribal people only. White people aren't supposed to be there. So we break that taboo because we've been invited, Yvonne and I, to come on that trip. So the human rules, we're not supposed to be there. The spiritual rules that Leon Secatero knows that we need to be there. The human rules are only the shamans can have this flower. The spiritual rules are, Nancy was guided to harvest this flower. She must have this flower. So I really want you to think about that as you are moving through life. What is a human rule? What is a spiritual rule? So we make it to the top of this mountain, and not all 100 people went. I just want to say that. I'll say maybe 30 of us went. But the two elders, the husband and wife that were both about 96, the warriors really helped almost carry them to the top. Now we get to the top of this shaman's mountain, but it's flat on the top. And we're guided to sit in this huge circle. And there was this gray sand that was there. It was just gray. I can't even describe it. And it was just covering the whole top of the mountain. So we go to sit down. One of the shamans explains to us that this gray sand is from another planet. It is from another galaxy. It's from another star system. And so it is highly powerful, high level knowledge that we are now sitting in the ground on. So what they said was that we will be able to vision in the spiritual world. We'll be able to vision our loved ones. So everyone was really excited about seeing them. And Leon's daughter, who was being prepared to take over the spiritual leadership, her mother had passed, and she was really quite emotional that she was going to get to see her mother, which she did. And the way that you would see them is if they are really there. That is not the experience that I had. My experience was this vision, and in the vision, and this high level voice came in about that when war happens, when bombs happen, and bombs hit the earth, they destroy the vortexes and the ley lines of the earth that move high level spiritual energy through the whole world. So when the vortex gets damaged, then that hate-filled war type attitude can spread like a disease through the ley lines. It can be picked up by the ley lines, and the attitude of war can be spread. So this voice came through to me that said, we need you to heal all the vortexes in the world. No small request. No small request, just heal all the vortexes that are damaged by war. So I really have kind of forgotten that. I didn't forget it at the time, and I've done a lot of healing of vortexes. But now I'm thinking about Ukraine, and it's just like that damage of all the vortexes and ley lines. All right. Then after we kind of all come back, I'm a little kind of shaken up because I didn't have a blissed out experience. I had violent, hateful war. I got to feel the full experience of how it impacts us on the earth. Then they shared with us that we could take as much of that star sand that we wanted, and I have some of it. And I just remember it this morning. I was like, oh my gosh, I've forgotten, like, where is this? Okay, so but this is the thing, and this is the thing they want you to know that you might experience in this shift that happens in November. I was coming down. I recognized the whole group that I was in. The warriors help us down because it's shale. We're slipping down on our bum. We're scooting on our bum down the steep hill to get to the bottom. And all the people, let's say that there were 70 people on either side, as you get to the bottom, they're saying, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. I see Leon Secretero, and he walks up to me and he says, welcome home. And he has a big smile on his face. And I explained to him what happened to me. And he said, yes, you understand, you get it. Like, he was delighted that I actually got what the impact of war could be. But then I said, I need to find Yvonne. Where's Yvonne? I've lost Yvonne. Other than Leon and other than Yvonne, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know I was in New Mexico. I didn't know the people around me. I was very disturbed. How can you feel lost in the middle of 100 people that you had just spent 3 days with, walked 8 miles with? So I'm just asking everybody, where's Yvonne? Where's Yvonne? Where's Yvonne? And so they could tell I was escalating in my distress And then they led me to her, and I just grabbed hold of her, and I probably didn't let go of her for 3 weeks. This is how long it lasted. So I'm just going to fast forward the story that as we came off the land and as we had some time to process, I still didn't recognize anybody that I was with. We drove off the land. We went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we were going to stay because I had friends there that wanted to have lunch. We had a couple of opportunities to meet people. We had to cancel them because I didn't know who these people were. I didn't know who my friends were, and I didn't want to be embarrassed. If they're talking about stories, I would not remember them. So Yvonne just called them and said, we have to leave early. I wanted to get home. I was desperate. So we're driving back from New Mexico back to Washington State. Here in Tacoma, Washington, we have this big dome. It's called the Tacoma Dome. And Yvonne's asking me, do you recognize that? And I said, I know that, but I don't recognize it. Okay, so just, I want you to hear that. I know it to be true. I know that it's supposed to be there, but I don't recognize it for what it is. It took me almost 3 weeks to start to even recognize, my family and my kids, and it was very distressing. So what Spirit has been explaining to me is that this blue light frequency that's impacting our nervous system, because that's what's happening, this high frequency, that your human body may not be able to rise to that frequency to recognize new high level knowledge that's coming through to you. It won't last forever. And what the blue light beings are saying, we have those time warps, time bending. We're losing gaps of time. Time is changing. They just had on Skinwalker Ranch last week's episode where they sent a weather balloon with all these testing items. When it came back and they uploaded it, somewhere they lost a block of time. It was only, I think, a quarter of a second, but they were saying within the scientific world that has never happened, that time has been a reliable source. And now suddenly they lost a gap of time and they don't know how to explain it. So these are the things that we have the potential to experience. Now, let me let you know that that particular plant, which I forgot that I even had the vision, I forgot that I needed it, I forgot that it was in my bag. What the blue beings of light were saying was that had I even smelled that plant or tasted that plant, it would have helped me integrate more quickly the high level frequency that came through my body. So they're saying, being well grounded, having the earth, plant medicine to include our foods, our high frequency foods, are what is going to help us to integrate. So you're going to want to put that on your list for in November. Any kind of plant medicine that you dream about, you're led to, even just sage, burning sage, burning cedar, sweetgrass, or foods that you're supposed to eat. You'll want to make a list of those things. Yeah. Javante, wow, over the past few weeks, we've been feeling that time has changed. Javante, it's crazy, crazy. It's crazy for me, and I have crazy experiences all the time, and it's crazy for me because, right, we have those filters of doubt and second guessing. So let me get back to the nervous system, because we're going to do a meditation, and we must, the blue light beings always say it's a choice. They have a choice. We're offering you the gift of the blue light movement meditation. It is your choice if you want to use it or not. But now they're saying if you really, really want to smoothly, seamlessly move through these next several years, you're going to want to start doing meditating with this blue light every single day. This is go time, everyone, go time. So, okay, let's see. Let me read my notes. When you have, oh, and this is the other thing. See, we think we're going to feel bad. I felt great. I felt better than great. What happened to me then was I was at such a high frequency, I could no longer recognize my earthly family, friends. I could no longer recognize the third dimension. It was completely separate from me. So what the star beings are saying is when you have a high level of star seed experience, star light, blue star light experience, if you have a high level of star being experience, so what is that? The Sirians, Pleiadians, the Lyrans, there's a lot of different star beings. You just might find that how many of you are finding that as the frequency goes up, you're starting to feel better than you have ever felt in your whole life? If that's the case, it means you came into this lifetime to help anchor the higher frequencies into the earth. It's felt terrible. And as the frequency goes up, you're starting to feel better and things are starting to make sense. How many of you are experiencing this? Now, thank you so much, Verna, for popping on, because that's Spirit's way of reminding me this next thing that the blue star beings want me to talk about. I experienced this frequency in New Mexico that was literally mind-blowing. I have experienced this frequency when I was in Mexico, when I was at Teotihuacan, the pyramids in that area there. That whole, and Mexico is at such a high level of star frequency. It's crazy. I experienced this when I was in China, not to that extent, but when I had the vision. But I don't even know if I should even mention this, because I think there's going to be this mass migration over the next couple of months about where the other place was that I felt this. So Verna Besselink, I went to visit, I was teaching in Alberta, Canada, in Calgary area. And we had a day, and I was staying with Verna. She so graciously invited me to stay in her home and was such a beautiful host. And on my day off, she said, I want to take you to a really special place. Now, Verna's going to remember this. It was the largest stone circle I had ever experienced in my life. And the boulders were gigantic. But this is the thing, like, Verna, you're going to be inundated with people, because she was the only one that could. No way could I have found it. It wasn't like they had big signs saying, come to the large, stone circle. It's like we had to go through fences. There were milestone posts. Like, she knew how to get there. And it was right above this huge river. So Verna, what was that river that was there that it was overlooking? Anyway, it was incredible. Had an incredible experience. I also had what I will call this kind of disassociative experience. I could feel the strength of the buffalo. She actually sent me some buffalo fur after that. So I was so taken by my experience there that I did a lot of research. And did you know that Alberta has the largest number of stone circles in the world? Sit with that a minute. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Like, who would know? It's just this flat earth. But this frequency is crazy there. I mean, you can look it up. You can look up Google and it will show you. You can find a little map about where all these stone circles are. All right, but it gets crazier than that. So I have my other friends, Wilma and Gil, and I don't know if Wilma is watching on YouTube. I hope that she found it okay. Yvonne and I went to stay with Wilma and Gil, and they live about an hour outside of Calgary. And I think it was Yvonne that said, and Yvonne, you have to understand, Yvonne is very even keeled. I'm the one that has these wild, crazy experiences, and she's very even keeled. So she's like, Nancy, I don't even know what to tell you, but there's an alien looking in the window. And so I'm like, you're kidding. And she's like, no. And so she kept kind of seeing this, and she had to go lay down because the frequency there was so high that she couldn't stay awake. Neither of us were sleeping, so that we were there for 3 days. And I kept saying, what's going on here? And at one point I said, how come I feel the presence of dinosaurs everywhere? And Wilma said, oh, you can find dinosaur bones on our property. And 10 kilometers from here is this enormous dinosaur pit and museum. So I could feel that. But I kept trying to understand why the frequency was so high. I didn't feel humanly normal. Although her berry pie, I don't know what kind of berry pie it was, really helped keep us grounded. Okay. So then I hear, this is before I knew about the blue light, I hear this voice says, get a map. So I go to Gil. I said, do you have a paper map? Yeah, give me a map of the area. He gets a map. And then suddenly my arm's taken over, and it's like I'm drawing a circle, and it's like there's this enormous vortex, and within that vortex are 3 smaller vortexes right in the center. That's where their farm was. The vibration frequency is crazy high. So they can tell you when they leave that circle, they feel calm. They grew up, they raised their kids in that circle. People who live in that circle. There's a lot of, it's a huge portal where other beings come through from other galaxies. All right, so that's there, that's happening. Yeah, Drumheller. Thank you, Verna. Yeah, so, and part of me is like, wow, that's probably where we need to go when the blue light surge happens. I think we'd kind of be blown out of our seats here. All right, so I mention this because it's not just Arizona that's experiencing this. These places of what's called the thin spots, in Ireland they call them the thin areas, are where it's much easier for these frequencies to come through. Let's get back to the nervous system. Did you know that the entire universe has a form of the nervous system that can communicate to each other? So the nervous system of the universe, the galaxies, communicate to each other as well as communicate to you. The universe and the earth are signaling and responding on a constant basis. What is teleportation? Teleportation is where you have a thought and then you end up in that place. You end up teleporting, just like in the Starship Enterprise, where they would go in that little teleportation device that would change their molecules, move them, then the molecules would reform on another planet. That is highly possible. Probable it is, but our human system says that's not possible. So it creates those filters. What they said, if you can't imagine it, you can't co-create its possibility. So, all right, 3. And by location is where you can feel you're in one place and another place at the same time. They tell me we are already experiencing this. Many of you are already saying, wow, I can feel like I'm in 2 places at the same time. So just know, remember, plant medicine, eating right, being grounded to the earth is going to help you to more easily, and meditate with the blue light energy frequency. It's going to help. Oh my God, I have so much to share with you guys. When I was a nurse, I was an ICU nurse and I was a hospice nurse. I realized that the patients who had Parkinson's, Guillain-Barré, all those nervous disorders, when I got to know them really, really well, I was like, wow, these people are beyond intelligent. They're beyond smart. Like, I could not conceptualize how they thought the way that they thought. Now I'm an Aquarius. I follow patterns. I notice patterns. Every time I met somebody else that had a neurological process going on that was causing a disease in the body, high level intelligent people that were tapped into a very high frequency that they were finding it challenging to bring into the body. The body was getting off kilter. It couldn't take it in. What Spirit told me later on was, if we're taught how to ground, how to deeply ground and maybe work with the plant medicine, that may not have created a disease in the body, because you could support the disease through eating well and exercising and meditating. So then the blue light beings came in a few days ago, and they mentioned ADHD, autism, seizure disorder, epilepsy, or any other neurological upset in the children that are being born right now. So the blue beings of light said it's like their brain capacity has the capacity to function at like 40 times what our brain is able to function. But they are working to bring that frequency into the body. And I did work with an occupational therapist that worked with autistic children. And when she was exercising with them, and as they got more grounded, they could start to talk, they could make eye contact. But when they were ungrounded, they couldn't speak, couldn't make eye contact. So that's significant. But they're trying to help us on the earth bring in this high level knowledge. I remember this young boy couldn't speak until about the age of 5 or 6. The school wanted him to be tested on the autistic scale. His mother refused. He did start speaking, and now he's in his 20s and he's writing a book. He's brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But you can think because they can't speak that something's wrong with their brain. They're slow, they're not smart, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. The reason why he couldn't speak is because he was talking telepathically. So that's what Spirit told me at the time. And so I remember saying telepathically, can you get up and go pick up that toy? Because remember, he was nonverbal, and he did it. He stopped what he was playing with. He got up, walked across the room, got the toy I asked for, put it in my lap, sat back down, started playing again. So these what we call disorders, diseases, we go, oh, we feel bad for them. It's like, no, we should be revering them. They have high level knowledge. And so as adults, we need to, and as scientists and doctors and medical people, we need to help them start to learn how to bring that high level of knowledge into the body. Your nervous system has what's called a sheath around the outside. So an electrical line, if it didn't have that rubber piece on the outside, you'd get shocked by the exposed electrical cord. It's the same with the nervous system. You have a sheath that covers it. When you have neuropathy, like after my chemotherapy, it dissolves some of the sheath around some of the nerves, and so it would just fire with neuropathy. That pain just shoots everywhere. So I've been working with the blue light to help heal it. And I remember my doctor said, I don't think you can heal it. That's a human rule. That's not a spiritual rule, because I've been healing it. So okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do a little meditation. And we're going to do a meditation with the 12 cranial nerves. We're going to do a meditation. We're going to bring blue light in. And afterwards, I'm going to have you name which cranial nerve seemed to be the most congested, which cranial nerve was the brightest. And then I'll share with you what each nerve represents. Okay? Are you all ready? Can you sky down a little bit? Can your body sky down a little bit? All right, go ahead and close your eyes and turn within. And it is already 10 to 9. So if you need to be somewhere at 9 o'clock, just know that this recording is available to you immediately after I go off line, okay? You can listen to it later. Go ahead and close your eyes and turn within. And just let your body know for just a few moments here, we're going to live in a state where we can imagine the unimaginable. Just ask your body, don't block it with doubt, don't freak out, don't argue, don't resist. Right now, we're just going to play with imagining the unimaginable. Say hello to your higher wise self that can easily take in blue light, can easily help you to remember your star seed lineage of your ancestors, easily help your DNA to become activated with this new knowledge in a way that can be easily integrated by your human body. So ask your higher wise self to assist you with that as you work with the energy of imagining the unimaginable. Go ahead now, and we're going to do just get some blue energy flowing through our field, but you want to ground first with blue light, or the frequency of blue, which is more like that frequency of cobalt blue, or oh my gosh, I cannot think of the blue. Anyway, it's like the blue of my dress or the blue of my scarf. So imagine that blue, and you're going to allow your whole body, remember your body is valuable to ground it, your whole auric field, ground to the center of the earth with this blue column of light. Lapis. Thank you, Leanne. I got your little telepathic message, lapis. Yes, and indigo will work as well. At the center of the earth are blue crystals that are helping to stabilize the blue light when the surge comes through. So go ahead and ground into those blue crystals deep in the earth. I can hear someone saying, I don't know how to do that. That's where you are going to imagine the unimaginable. You're not able to imagine grounding to the center of the earth, but you're going to give yourself permission to imagine that you can do it. Just pretend there's this blue column of light cutting through the earth's crust. It's just easily melding and moving through all the layers of the earth, and it's just going to infuse into the blue crystals at the center of the earth. We're just playing and imagining as if it's really real. There you go. Nice. Now we're going to bring in that column of the star being frequency, the blue light. This is not the star being's blue, it's the cosmic blue. It's a universal blue. It's a celestial blue, but it's a particular frequency that some of the star beings work with. Not all of them, but this blue light's coming to the earth is connected to some of the star beings' influence. So imagine it coming from the stars, and this blue column of light is just going to flow down into the room that you are in. In this meditation, I am not asking you to call upon the blue beings of light, the spiritual beings, star beings. However, if that is something you wish to do, that is personal for you. We're just bringing in this blue celestial light into the room that you are in to help raise the frequency while you're in that grounded state. Now set your intention that this blue frequency with easily integrated, is going to begin to flow through your brain, your spinal column, your cranial nerves that come out of the brain, up tucked up under the brain, comes out. There are 12 of them, all the way through all your nerves that go down your neck, your arms, your legs, your body, all to all your organs. And that just set the intention that it help clear off any energy that dampens down or blocks your nervous system from working at the higher frequencies that it's truly capable of doing. So we're going to take a couple of minutes of quiet as you let this blue just flow all the way down through your entire nervous system. We'll go back to the cranial nerves in a minute, but through your brain, spinal column, an entire nervous system. You don't need to know where the nerves are. Your spirit knows. With the blue light, you may be experiencing being very much in the present moment. You may be experiencing this deep, still point of pure knowledge, because that's what comes with the galactic core. So now we're just going to go through 1 through 12 very quickly, and you're going to make note which one was the most congested, which one was the brightest one. So we're just going to say cranial nerve number 1, rinse with blue. You can imagine a little tube like a cranial nerve. You can imagine just a line like a cranial nerve. You can imagine a flower that represents a cranial nerve. You're going to rinse that cranial nerve number 1 with blue. Notice what you notice, sense what you sense. And we're going to go through this fairly quickly so you do not have time to think about it, but that you have time to intuit about it. Cranial nerve number 2. Cranial nerve number 3. You might start to feel your head tingle. Just know that the frequency is able to shift. Cranial nerve number 4. Cranial nerve number 5. Cranial nerve number 6, or halfway through, you may start to feel your sinuses open up. You may feel a lightness around your shoulders. Cranial nerve number 6. With blue light. Cranial nerve number 7. Cranial nerve number 8. Cranial nerve number 9. Cranial nerve number 10. Cranial nerve number 11. Doing great, everyone. You're doing really well. There's a lot of shifts going on around the head. Cranial nerve number 12. Okay, go ahead and thank your body, thank your spirit, knowing that you can revisit that meditation anytime. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. And when you feel like you've come back into the space where you are, remind yourself of today's date that you're actually participating in this meditation. Remind yourself of how old you are. Remind yourself of the room that you're in, the city that you live in. Remind yourself of your presence. And then when you feel like you're ready, which is the cranial nerve that was the most congested and which cranial nerve was the least congested, you can type that into the comment section. So I just want to share through my website, intuitivemind.org. If you go to shop, you click on the shop button. I do have a guided meditation about what's called the head channel clearing. I think it's only $9 to get the recording. Because you literally have chakras that go all the way around the head, little vortexes. You also have ley lines that go through all the head. There's all kinds of components through the head to include how these cranial nerves really activate the head so that you can bring in high level of knowledge to communicate to your body. So I'm going to go ahead and read, since we are now 10 minutes over our time, but let me just quickly go through what the nerves are, and you can look up online loads of information if you'd like to learn more about these. But the thing about it is, as a nurse, what kind of blew my mind about all this is how it's all having to do with the head. You would think one of the nerves has to do with the feet or the hands or the this or the that, but it's all around the head. So number one, is the cranial nerve number one. Olfactory nerve helps you to smell things. So take a nice deep breath in and see if you can smell. That olfactory nerve then sends the message to the brain so you know what you're smelling. Lena, number one felt the least congested. You must have, I wonder if you have a good smeller. All right, number two, the optic nerve is responsible for your vision, carrying information from your eyes to your brain. Number three, ocular motor nerve controls the movement of the muscles of your eyes. So when you look up, down, right, left, all that's done by the ocular nerve of number three. Number four is the trochlear nerve, which also helps control the eye movement. It blew my mind how much there is around the eyes. If we don't think we're not all going to be clairvoyant soon, we're going to be missing out, because all these nerves are really around vision and light. Helps you look, the trochlear nerve helps you look downwards, rotate your eyes inwards, and, like reading, following words on a page. Number five, trigeminal nerve. We've heard a lot about this. It is responsive for the sensations in your face. Sensations in your face, such as touch, pain, temperature. Like a gentle breeze. You felt the breeze on your face. All right, six, abduction nerve. It's like the nerve that helps your eyes to abduct and move outward. It controls the muscles so that your eyes can look sideways. Have you ever seen something, like out of range to the side? You go to look and it's not there. That's seeing the spirit world. Number 7, the facial nerve helps you to make facial expressions. Smile, frown, raise your eyebrows. It's responsible, this particular nerve, for helping to coordinate all your facial expressions. I remember I used to have just no expression, and I had to work at creating an expression. Like actors on a stage have to learn how to create big expressions to convey it to the audience in the back of the room. That's why they don't always translate well to television, because they have to sky down, make subtle movements of the face. All right, 8, vestibular cochlear nerve is involved in hearing and balance, perceiving sound, music, someone's voice. Have you ever heard somebody walk in and you're like, oh, I know, Yvonne always used to tell me, I would know your laugh anywhere, because when I was laughing at work, it would just carry, and people like, oh, Nancy's laughing about something again, which isn't a bad thing. All right. I don't even know what this one, glossopharyngeal nerve. Number 9 is it controls important functions related to the throat and the mouth. So when you were clearing that, you may have felt things around the mouth like taste and swallowing. Number 10, the vagus nerve. Ooh, we all know about the vagus nerve. This is the biggie. This is the one that travels the whole, it's the longest nerve, and it's the one that connects to all your organs and all your body and your sympathetic and parasympathetic. It's the big regulator and regulates. It's called the wandering nerve, travels through the body, reaches the heart, lungs, digestive system, involved in regulating essential bodily functions. Number 11, accessory nerve, the nerve that works together with other nerves to control certain movement in your head and your shoulders. Like if you move your head back and forth, is it tight? Allows you to turn your head, shrug your shoulders. How about look backwards when you're going to change lanes in your car? You know that nerve is congested if you can't do that. Number 12, hypoglossal nerve controls the movement of your tongue. Left. That's why when people are having trouble and they don't know if they've had a stroke, the doctor will say, stick out your tongue, move it to the right, move it to the left, move it up, move it down, because they're trying to identify where the area is in the brain that is impacted. So those are the nerves. My little nursey side got all excited about sharing that with you, but my spiritual side is, see, those are the human rules about how those function. But did you notice it's all around the head, all around the head? And so the blue light is going to come through, clear all that off so you can more easily go where no man has ever gone before. I just had to say it. All right, we're running. I don't even know what time. It's 9:15. Thanks, Jill. She's like, oh, amazing. I had so much more to share, but that story really kind of pushed over. So I hope that you felt that that long story was well worth listening to. So let's see, I wrote what I want to tell you. Start looking for it, I think, in July about the Blue Light Movement page and this huge event. Do not overbook your calendar in November, because I'm going to book your calendar in November because it's going to be great. And I think that's about it. Yeah, you can go to the website, my website, you can order the head channel clearing. Whenever we have openings in Psychic Mastery 1, I always highly recommend that you jump in. I think that we'll try to open for more. I don't open for students all the time just because I'm working with the students. So, but in September, we'll open the doors for registration for that again. And I don't know. I'm just going to sit here and imagine the unimaginable. So have a fantastic weekend. Let your mind be crazy curious. Go look up some of this stuff. See if you can do your own deep dive research at the human level, but then at the spiritual level, meditate with the blue light, meditate with your nervous system. Get it ready, get it prepared for November and the years beyond, okay? When are we leaving? Jill. All right, take care, everyone. It's so great. Thanks so much. And again, apologies for the Facebook page where it just wouldn't work. Don't know what that's about, but I'm sure we'll discover it. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.